Good evening, Range of Beauties, and welcome to the Pink Politics Show. There were two midterm elections in the states of Texas and Georgia almost a year ago. Black American women voted overwhelmingly for the Democratic candidates in both. According to exit polls, 94% of Black American women voters supported then senatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke. And in the Georgia contest, 97% of Black American women voters cast their ballot in a box at a polling station for Democrat Stacey Abrams. Despite the high Black voter turnout for these much anticipated midterm contests, in the end, Republican candidates won both elections. So what exactly does this tell us? To keep it 100, as they say around the way, it tells us two things. Firstly, it tells us that Republicans cheated. Many voters from Black American women's community were blocked from voting in the Georgia and Texas elections. And secondly, it tells us that Black American women voters are far too loyal to the Democratic Party. Now, nothing would be wrong with voting over 90% for the above-mentioned Democratic candidates or any other Democrats if they actually push policies that were good for us and our communities. That would certainly make all the sense in the world. Casting your vote for candidates who make life better for you and your community is what it's all about. Democrats, however, do not push policies that are good for Black American women's communities. Keep in mind that the Democrats are fighting for uncontrolled immigration. Now, you tell me, sis, how does immigration, whether legal or illegal, benefit Black American women's community? What immigration does is hurt our communities. Immigration diminishes Black American women's voting power and crowds them out of university and countless job opportunities. Multiple studies have shown this to be true, but the very Democrats you vote for don't care about what those studies have to say. And why is that? Well, because those studies say what they don't want you to know. Remember, the whole purpose of importing entire populations from Latin America, Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean is to reduce Black American women's community to invisibility and insignificance. And not only do Democrats promote policies like uncontrolled immigration into the U.S., which hurts us in every conceivable way, but they also don't offer any policies that would benefit Black American women's community in particular. In 2016, more than 90% of Black American women voted for Hillary Clinton. During her campaign, Clinton did not discuss how her plans would benefit Black American women's community in particular at all. She didn't discuss it once. Giving her this kind of support without her offering your community anything good is very bad. Doing so also makes Democrats take Black American women voters for granted. These Democrats have reasoned out that Black American women voters will support them even if they push policies that are bad for their community and ignore their specific issues. They know that a lot of Black American women have subscribed to the idea of feminist identity politics. Democrats and their co-conspirators and the left-wing mainstream media have conditioned many Black American women to believe that the most important thing about them is that they are female. This is one of the main reasons why 97% of Black American women voted for Democrat Stacey Abrams. Now, Abrams went back to the 2016 Clinton playbook and her 2018 bid for governor of Georgia. During the campaign, she spoke passionately about every Democratic issue. However, she did not talk about Black American women's issues. Just like the overwhelming majority of her fellow Democrats, she chose not to talk about reparations or a Black agenda. But because most Black American women see her as a double minority, Black and female, almost 100% of them voted for her. Melanistic ladies, especially those of you in Georgia, this is politically unacceptable. We cannot let emotions matter most in convincing us who to vote for. Voting should not be irrational. Emotions alone should never win. Facts and policies, not emotions, have to start mattering more in convincing us who to vote for. Stacey Abrams was a candidate who openly endorsed policies that would reduce Black American women's community to invisibility and insignificance. She's a Democrat who actually believes in uncontrolled immigration. She's willing to replace your community with undeserving, disrespectful, and ungrateful immigrants from around the developing world for individual gain. In fact, she's Oprah Winfrey 2.0. This is why Oprah endorsed her. Oprah probably sees Abrams as a new and improved version of herself. Just like Winfrey was willing to sell out Black American women's community for billions of dollars, Abrams was willing to do the exact same thing to make history as the first Black governor of Georgia in U.S. history. Now, if you can, I want you to remember back, all the way back to Barry Soetoro, better known as Barack Obama, and you'll notice a pattern. Obama was willing to pretend to be a Black American so that he could become the first, quote, Black American president in U.S. history. Too many Black Americans and too many Black immigrants are willing to aid the Democratic Party and their co-conspirators in the mainstream media in reducing Black American women's community to invisibility and insignificance for personal gain. 2020 Democratic presidential hopeful Kamala Harris is the latest Black person to try to do this. Democrats and their co-conspirators in the mainstream media enlisted Harris to help them reduce and replace your community. But fortunately, enough Black American women rejected her. But like Obama, Harris is willing to pretend to be a Black American so that she can become the first female and, quote, Black American female president in U.S. history. This is a quid pro quo, or a you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours phenomenon between Democrats, CNN, and MSNBC on one hand, and way too many Black politicians on the other hand. It is indeed a political exchange. The political title, whether president, governor, senator, House of Representative, mayor, or city council person, is the quid pro quo for their help in reducing Black American women's community to invisibility and insignificance. A favor for a favor is exactly what this is. Now, some Black American women voters may say that seeing Stacey Abrams' stops on the midterm campaign trail was like seeing their mama or auntie or even a young grandmother. They may also say that it was interesting to watch clips of her telling her supporters how she would improve the quality of their lives. But relatability does not qualify a candidate. Just because she is a Black American woman does not mean that she is operating in the interest of Black American women. The Democratic policies that she supported made her political agenda a wolf in sheep's clothing. She was and is a very dangerous person who is pretending to be harmless. Stacey Abrams, Barack Obama, and now Kamala Harris are political enemies who are disguised as friends or family. All three of them are agents for the Democratic Party and the liberal mainstream media. Black American women cannot get so emotionally wrapped up watching them speak to the point where they don't actually listen to what they're saying. Now, for many, I understand that it may be interesting to watch candidates who look like you or individuals from your community speaking, but it's bad when they're saying that people who aren't from here, who have no respect for you, who are taking your jobs by pretending to be you, get ahead of you in line. Now is the moment in time to say, Democrats, no more. We rebuke you for pushing policies that hurt our community. Obama, Clinton, Abrams, or no other Democrat should ever be able to snag 90% of the Black American female vote, unless, of course, they promise and deliver on reparations and a Black agenda. Thank you for joining us. I'm Taylor Washington, and this is Pink Politics, where Black womanhood and politics converge.